Gentlemen, welcome back to another video. My name is Striker and this channel is about dating in Ukraine, in Belarus, and it's about helping you guys cut through some of the bullshit that is out there if that is something that you're looking at doing. So subscribe to the channel, check out our other videos. Let's get on with this video. So topic of this video is high divorce rates in Ukraine. So if you didn't already know, Ukraine ranks very high in divorces. When you look at it on a scale of all the countries in the world. So does Russia, so does Belarus, and it seems to be something that's quite common in this part of the world. And for some time now, I've been wanting to kind of break it down and try and understand it, because if you go into the forums, it's always in the forums. There's always someone saying that Ukraine has such high divorce rates. Why would you want to go and date the woman over there? They want to obviously divorce men, or men want to divorce them, or there's something that's going wrong with the dynamics between the relationships in these countries. And about 8 months ago, I was struggling to find the information. Luba went to look for the information. She was also struggling to find the information, the stats, the exact stats that we needed. We also hired a reporter. She was like an investigative journalist, and we paid her to go and get the information, thinking that she would be able to ferret through like these old websites that are outdated and get the information. But even she couldn't do it either. So we kind of gave up on that. Today I decided I wanted to go back to the video, but address it from a different point of view. Now, we can chop up the information that we've got, right? The best that we can. And to be honest, no matter, on so many different websites where you look, the information is different. You know, there are blog posts that are saying this is why they get divorced. Even on actual websites listing which countries are highest and lowest, they're all different, you know, nothing is consistent. So to delve into that is something that we can use to try and analyze what's actually going on almost seems pointless, right? But everybody talks about it. Even in the comments on our channel, people say, what's happening with, why is the divorce rate so high? Like as if there's like some magic reason for it. And it's got something to do with the geographical location of these countries, right? A lot of blog posts out there talk about things that, alcohol is a contributing factor. And that may be the case, right? But I mean, I don't think alcohol is the contributing factor. I think there's probably something else, and alcohol is just it's just a little piece of the puzzle. So there's some issue, people drink, they say the reason our relationship didn't work is because he's an alcoholic. Okay, well, what was the underlying factor for that reason, right? So let's just kind of forget about all that shit, right? Let's just slide all those facts and figures and graphs and timelines off the table. Because if you think about it, all of these stats, whether they're real or whether they're fake or whether they're just inaccurate, whether they're old, these have nothing really to do with you, right? These are to do with the people that live in that country. That's the problems that that country is having, So I don't think we can say that something culturally, or even genetically, if we want to go down that path, that makes the woman want to divorce a man. And we don't even know if it's the men that are divorcing the woman or the woman are divorcing the men, right? If we knew that, we could probably get a little bit of information that would be a bit more useful. But because we don't even know that unless you surveyed a whole bunch of divorce lawyers, we still don't really know. So let's think about something else. Let's think about, why do people get divorced? Because if we can think about this and get rid of the whole where in the world the country is, it's probably going to be something that's a bit more useful for you to actually take with you and think about, and maybe even use it along your journey. Because if we think about that, that's something that we can actually deal with, right? Because it doesn't matter if everyone in one country is getting divorced. It doesn't mean you're getting divorced. It doesn't matter if there's a country that has the highest success rate of marriages. Does that mean that you're going to be successful? Of course not. We're all individual people with so many factors that come into play. So let's have a think about why people get divorced. And Googling this is absolutely ridiculous, depending on what side of the fence that you're actually on. But I think if we boil it right down and we say, why do people get divorced? Why would your wife want to leave you, or why would I want to leave my wife? And the answer is simple, because the alternative to being married has more value than being married. What constitutes value? Well, it's different for every person, I think it's fair to say in many cases in the West, the value is money, all right? So if a woman and a man, if the woman sees more value in divorcing him and living a nice, comfortable life, and she doesn't have to put up with him, and she can look for something else, that for her has value. On the flip side, if the guy wants to leave the woman, right, he's going to see more value maybe in another woman, maybe a younger, hotter woman. But it's not to say that someone is getting divorced because there's somebody else there. All I'm saying is that there is more value in not being married. And that value could just come from the fact that the man that she was with was abusive, he was an alcoholic, he used to beat her, whatever. And for her, the value is not being with him. It's her being safe. It's her taking the kids and going. So if we look at it from this point of view, it really doesn't matter what country the person is from, right? It's up to you to be able to hold that value, and not just hold it, increase that value, because value diminishes over a timeline. Whether you're a man or a woman, at some point in time, it will diminish. So you have to work hard to keep it at that level or to keep it going up, right? And I think that that's probably a good place to start, as opposed to trying to analyze what's actually happening in a country that you have nothing to do with. It would be good to understand, like, don't get me wrong, I wish I could present something and it was like facts and figures, but I really just don't see that it's useful to anybody out there. You know, there's one thing that is imperative to your success for the long term, and that is your value. And the hardest part about when it comes to value is that your value is not determined necessarily by you, well, most of the time not by you. Your value is determined by outside influences. You know, I made like a video I don't know, maybe it was a year ago, I don't know, about the scale of attraction and how it can change based on where you are in the world. I'll put a card up here so you can go check it out. So your value is not determined by you, it's determined by where you go and what's around you. And that's something that has to be taken into this, right? When you are in a relationship. And any of you guys out there that has been married or in long-term relationships, you know, people do get relaxed. You know, they do let themselves go. You know, they do stop, especially when you get out of that honeymoon period, start taking things for granted, right? I think if we think about this, if we're going to go into a marriage, we need to think about that is not just a possibility, but almost, if you're not careful, a certainty that you will end in a divorce. And so if we know that now, isn't that something that we can control ourselves? Like I said before, your value is determined by what's around you, but you know, also what's around her as well. Maybe she'll get exposed to something and then your value diminishes based on the comparison with something else or someone else. You know, and there's nothing that we can do about this in that sense. All we can take care of is ourselves. So knowing that and going into a relationship, like even if you're constantly thinking that, is that you always have to be the highest value person that you can be. And it doesn't necessarily have to be so that she doesn't leave you. It should just be something that you're constantly thinking about. You should always try to improve yourself, learn something new, be the highest value person that you can be. Because think about this. If for some reason you do break up or you do get a divorce in the future, which could happen, no one's saying that it's just because she's from Ukraine, you're not going to end up in a divorce. Think about when you have to go back into the dating market if you decide to go back into it. You want to go back into that, you know, a high value male. We've seen quite a few instances recently where long relationships, and then almost, not always, but a lot of them are big, large age gaps, where the woman still looks pretty good and the man is now older, he's overweight, and he's sort of struggling a wee bit, and you can sort of see a bit of depression is starting to set in, and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, if he had kept himself in shape, you know, I think things would be a lot easier for him. So depending on how you want to think about it, whether you want to keep yourself in shape and look good so that your woman always sees value in you, and value is all sorts of things. It's money, it's looks, it's everything, okay? Then that's up to you if you want to do it for her or if you want to do it for yourself. So when it comes to why are there so many divorces, it's really difficult to say. You know, it's without actually speaking to a huge section of people and say, why did you get divorced? Which of course they would lie anyway, depending on who you're speaking to. There's always going to be conflicting stories. I think we just kind of forget about that. I think there are some factors, and I'm going to do a video about kind of marriage. I guess it's the opposite of divorce. And my theories on some of these cliched stereotypes when it comes to Ukraine. But in terms of the divorce, who knows, and basically who cares? It's really got nothing to do with you. But one thing that I'll say here, if you do meet a woman and she has been divorced 2-3 times, she's got a string of bad relationships, she hates her ex-husbands, or there's all sorts of drama that come along with it, these are red flags, and you should definitely pay attention to that on an individual basis, okay? So this is when it comes into qualifying a woman if she's going to be good for a long-term relationship. But don't think that is the same as the country overall has a really shitty divorce rate. Anyway, just my thoughts on the high divorce rates in some of these countries. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.